Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful Wednesday so far. It is going to be a pretty big day for the markets as we have the rate decision taking place today from the Federal Reserve. So looking like we're going to get a 25 basis points. It would be good and a shock to the markets if we got a 0, and would be very bad if we got a 50. And actually, I'm going to give a little bit of commentary on this because we've actually seen, in terms of quantitative tightening in regards to the balance sheet, in 1 week, them undo nearly half of what they've done over the past year. So they've added nearly half what they've taken away over the past year in terms of quantitative tightening. Now, this is deemed as pivotal. However, there's a couple of things we've got to watch. So inflation is the main one. Inflation is what's driving everything. We're going to cover the Bitcoin price, but you guys know where we're at, right? We're just waiting for essentially 35-ish K next. You know, you've got your fib level here. You've got your Elliott wave. Your head and shoulders target. You've got your Elliott wave that I think is going to get us up to around here. You've also got your CME gap. You know, the stars are very much aligned on that. I'll talk about alt season as well a little bit because you guys know what we need to see alt season. This is the total 2 in the line chart and, of course, in the bar patterns or the candlesticks. You've got Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance needs to roll. So right now you've got the total market cap going up with the Bitcoin dominance. Alt season happens when the total market cap goes up and Bitcoin dominance goes down. And I do think that's coming. You know, Bitcoin dominance is running into resistance. You can chart anything, guys. So we will cover that, but really we're going to be focusing on this. I'm also going to go over a number of interesting things that I've seen, like American banks are missing hundreds of billions of dollars. Very interesting news from the UK today. UK inflation actually surprises us with a rise to 10.4%. So inflation is not over, and you have this message echoed from Lagarde over at the ECB. Inflation is still too high. So, and this has always been the dilemma. And then I actually want to bring you some news from Russia. Obviously, Russia, Putin's met with Xi, and there's been lots of speculation on what this was over, of course. But this is really economic, a lot of what's come out of it. And Russia will use Chinese yuan to trade with Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The death of the dollar, guys, is coming. It makes sense. If I was a country, I would move away from the dollar and look to move on to a system, whatever it may be, and I think they're trying to create one that isn't controlled by the US government. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm kind of losing my train of thought because I'm just trying to cover so much. But let's start with what's happening today. So we've got the rate hike. Now, with them having to bail banks out, I think they're actually going to not go much further. And the yield, not the yield curve, the 2-year yield has shown us this, and we were so accurate on calling this dip, by the way, guys, before it even happened. We didn't know that it was going to be to do with Silicon Valley Bank, but we just knew that actually with your RSI this was running out of steam. It's the importance of being a kind of technical analyzer. So I don't think they're going to get much further with rates. This has got rates at 5%. We would get to 5% with the 2.5, and I think this is where they're going to stay. And I think you're going to end up in a situation like this. I'll actually overlay the Fed's funds. We've shown you this 1,000,001 time, guys, but just to do it again for anybody that's new to the channel, and welcome on board if you are. This is rates in orange, Bitcoin orange. I think you're going to get rates going like this. So they may have a slight jump higher and then sort of plateau in accordance with the yield curve, which has essentially already topped out, in my opinion. And this is why we put money back into the markets at the start of the year. So this is a 25 basis point expected. Markets expect a quarter of a rate hike increase from the Federal Reserve, taking its benchmark fund rate to 4.75% in the highest level since 2007. The Fed could alter its post-meeting statement from saying ongoing increases may be appropriate to something that suggests a less certain outlook. Fed officials will release their projection from unemployment, inflation, gross domestic products, and perhaps most importantly, the peak rate where it will end up going on this hiking campaign. Fed Chair Jerome Powell post-meeting new conference will also attract much attention, with traders hopping on commentary on how the central bank maintains financial stability. So there's no way they're going to let banks fail. Banks are too big to fail at this point. So they're going to support them, and this is going to likely be in the form of QE. So we know the story here, guys. And I think, again, 0, no rate hike, markets go up. 25, they're probably going to continue on the course that they're already on. You know, we think Bitcoin is heading, just draw all over the bloody chart there, guys. Good mood today, guys. It feels great. You know, certainly after being out the market for most of last year, sold literally here, bought literally down here, and have been adding. It feels great to be back in the markets. It feels great to be making some money. And if you guys want to find out more about that, please feel free to check out the link in the description of my Patreon. But I think 25 basis points markets just continue on the trajectory they're on. And of course, 50, they probably readjust slightly, and you'll see a readjustment. However, that may be the last hike. Got some interesting news. This, of course, is Balaji, who's still going and backing his Bitcoin to 1 million in 90 days. Don't think it's going to happen, but he's on the money in terms of the problems that there are. Just to put a timeline on that sort of thing, I think is nearly impossible. So American banks are missing hundreds of billions of dollars. How the Federal Reserve drained the financial system of deposits. Fed are bust. Lynn Alden wrote a great piece on this. Inflation is still coming out high in the likes of the UK and the Euro, which the Fed will be watching and kind of going, we need to not be too, and there's been lessons learnt historically with them coming off the gas too prematurely with inflation. You can see rather an interesting picture of Lagarde there. And this was something I found interesting before we dive into the sort of price action for Bitcoin. Russia will use Chinese yuan to trade with Asia, Africa, and Latin America. This is the death of the petrodollar and the birth of the petro yuan. Very interesting. This isn't just Russia specific or China specific. We're seeing this from South America, Africa, across the board, really, guys. We're seeing a move away from the dollar into a kind of new system, or whatever that system may be. Is still, whether it's the BRICS, we'll see. But there's lots of Mexico is recent trying to join in on this. We are seeing a definite move away from the dollar and potentially a death of the dollar. And the problem you've got is it's why Japan's so important. People don't understand why Japan's important, right? It just seems like a kind of weird set of circumstances that always seems to do rather well despite the kind of economic nightmare that it is. And that's because they're stuffed with US dollar debt. So they are an important, rather than the third largest economy in the world, they play an important role in keeping the US where it is and maintaining its sort of hegemony. But I don't want to go down this sort of economics, everything. So this is where we're at. Rate hike today. We've got all this interesting news coming out. I think inflation is still high. I think the Fed are actually going to have to seem to still be hawkish, right? They can't come out dovish now, otherwise markets are rallying, and they probably won't like the fact that markets have rallied to where they have. Now let's get on to a bit of price action. So we've been tracking this reverse head and shoulders, got it very, very accurately. And this gives you a target around about 25k. Okay. We also think that your Elliott wave theory, we think that you're going to get to 25k, 35k, sorry, and beyond is going to be in an Elliott wave-like structure. You're going to move in a three-wave sort of impulse. There'll be sort of individual pullbacks in here, but your third wave is like your largest wave of this move to the upside, right? Before we maybe get some sort of deeper correction. As of right now, there's some really positive things taking place because here you hadn't yet put in a higher high. Here you've put in a higher high. So if this is a down, let me see if I can use a different chart. So doing a bit of bragging there. So if this is a downtrend, where you've just got this concession of lower lows and lower highs, so on and so forth. You've now done this. You've come in, this is your higher low, and now you put in a higher high. And you do something like this, or like this. You're just going to keep edging your way up, guys, until you invalidate this. So this is really what you want to look at. I do think Bitcoin's very much on the trajectory, technically, to your sort of 35k range. And I think once we get there, we definitely could go above and beyond. If you put on your volume by price, you'll see where the sort of weak areas of volume are. You've got a little bit of volume we ran into here, which is why we stalled. Also, you're on your 0236. You're going to stall here. You could likely coil up before getting that boost up to here. And I think when it happens, it's going to be short and sweet. We'll see what sort of effect the data has on the markets today. I think it's 1:30. It could already be out by the time this video is out, guys. You also got your CME gap, which we think is going to get filled. I think your price is very much set to come to these levels. And it's nice that altcoins are now following along, right? I think altcoins are also in this three-wave structure where they're sort of embarking on their third wave. They're lagging behind Bitcoin, right? Let's pop good old Bitcoin on there. They're lagging behind. Bitcoin's gone on to put a new high. Altcoins are somewhat stalling. You look at sort of the likes of Chainlink, which I'm bullish on. Cardano, for example. which I actually thought it was winding up here to set up for more upside, but I think, you're going to get that upside eventually. Take the draw tool off in case any sort of structure I've got on there. Algorand, I think these are all getting ready for some serious upside. Of course, they will pull back with Bitcoin, but generally, they will play catch up. This is how, and we've looked at studies that show this is actually how the bull market started back in, following March 2020 crash. But I think it's happy days, guys, for crypto. And I think you're having this real nightmare with the Fed and everything they're doing. I think Balaji's on the money. I just think he's a little bit too early or too sort of jealous with his prediction of 90 days. But I do think he's addressing a real problem that is ultimately going to lead to the spotlight being given to the cryptocurrency market. That's all I've got for you in this video, guys. You enjoyed the content. Remember, rate decision today. We've got some interesting things going on. Inflation's still high, so the Fed, I doubt it, are going to be too dovish, but they're maybe not going to be as hawkish as they once were, certainly with banks failing. Very interesting. We're going to have to watch how the kind of dollar fares on the global stage. And you guys know where we think Bitcoin's heading. And of course, we've got points of invalidation. All I've got for you in this video, guys. You want to find out more about what I'm doing, where I'm doing it, feel free to join the Patreon. If you've enjoyed the video, I like us, always appreciate it as a comment. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you in the next.